Estás escuchando KBBF 89.1 FM, Calistoga, Santa Rosa, tu radio.
La visión de KBBF es crear una voz multilingüe y fuerte que le dé poder e involucre a toda la comunidad para lograr su justicia social a través de la educación, la celebración de cultura y la provisión de noticias locales e internacionales. KBBF's vision is to create a strong multilingual voice that empowers and engages the community to achieve social justice through education, celebration of culture, and local and international news coverage.
This is Edward James Olmos. Did you know that today 1 out of every 4 American kids is Hispanic? That means many of the future doctors, engineers, and entrepreneurs of our country can be your kids. We all know how hard it is for you to send them to college. This is why many support you. And the Hispanic Scholarship Fund helps you prepare, plan, and pay for your kids' college education. Learn more at hsf.net. Brought to you by the Hispanic Scholarship Fund and the Ad Council.
KBBF 89.1, la primera radio bilingüe comunitaria en los Estados Unidos.
Hello, everybody. You are listening to the Queer Life Radio Show, and this is on KBBF 89.1 FM, Calistoga. The Queer Life Radio Show, which is LGBT news, modern perspectives, roundtable discussions, and interviews here on KBBF 89.1 FM, Calistoga. I am your host, Kaiya Kramer, and this show airs live every Friday night, 6 to 8 p.m. in the San Francisco Bay Area, reaching all the way up to Redding and down to the South Bay Area. We are live every Friday night, and this replays every Tuesday night from 9 to 11 p.m. on KBBF 89.1 FM, and is syndicated every Wednesday night, 6 to 8 p.m. on KWTF 88.1 FM, Bodega Bay. All episodes are streamed live from the studio via Google Hangouts on Air, which you can watch on thequeerlife.org. TheQueerLife.org has an archive of every single episode, links to all news topics mentioned, descriptions and info for all guests interviewed, access to Trans Atheist Podcast and Lesbianist Podcast, exclusive podcasts from the Queer Life family, and support pages for crisis hotlines and access to mental health professionals for those who are absolutely in need. Please like us on Facebook, facebook.com/thequeerlife. Follow us on Twitter @thequeerlife. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/thequeerliferadio. Disclaimer, what you hear on the show should not be taken as strict legal or medical advice. Please use your own discretion and check with a lawyer or doctor to directly address your legal or medical needs. If you are enjoying this program or any other programming on KBBF, visit kbbf-fm.org and hit the donate button. All your donations are greatly appreciated. Again, I am your host, Kaiya Kramer, and you are listening to the Queer Life Radio Show. All right. Hello, everybody. Again, you are listening to the Queer Life Radio Show, LGBT news, modern perspectives, roundtable discussions, and interviews. I am your host, Kaiya Kramer. And I just want to let all y'all out there know that this is episode 38 of the Queer Life Radio Show. What if you could see every transgender person naked? Again, that is probably just a headline just to get all of your attention. But the question is, what if you could see every transgender person naked? So this is LGBT news, modern perspectives, roundtable discussions, and interviews. That is LGBT, as in LGBTQIA, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, questioning, intersex, and asexual news and perspectives. And usually this show, which started in August of 2014, we've been here over half a year now. This is episode 38, and if my math is correct, and it usually is, every 52 weeks makes a year. So we will be celebrating a year in not too long here. We're really excited to be continuing going on with this show and being a big part of KBBF and our syndicated radio station, KWTF, which has been supporting us. I also want to let all y'all know that the Queer Life is now a podcast. And you can find the podcast link for for the most recent episodes by just going to thequeerlife.org and just choose episode 38, and you'll find an iTunes link in there. iTunes has not paid me. This is a not-for-profit show, and if you just Google The Queer Life, or Bing The Queer Life, or Yahoo The Queer Life, or use anonymous proxy searching for The Queer Life, you will find thequeerlife.org. Pretty easy stuff. Every episode, as I said, is also on YouTube, so you can watch from the browser or from YouTube for The Queer Life. We're kind of all up in all of the technology ways. And I've said this before, and I'll say this again. If I didn't have a show called The Queer Life, I'd probably have a show called The Tech Life, and have different shows about whether or not you should be calling in. And I was like, listen to this show if you want to, if upgrading to Windows 10 or Windows 8.1 is worth it for you. But that's something down in the pipeline. Tweet at The Queer Life if you think that we should have a tech show. Just more ideas, as if I need to be a tech activist as well as an LGBT activist. So I want to explain a little bit of why I chose to name this episode "What If You Could See Every Transgender Person Naked?" And the reason I have that is, what if you see every transgender person naked? This title is to exemplify the fact that every time we bare our souls to you and share a little piece of our lives, we're being vulnerable with you. We're being naked with you. Being naked is not just about the clothes on your back or undergarments that cover up your genitals. It's about being naked is bearing who we are as persons, as human beings, which we all are. Big surprise. Not trying to be smart or cute, but no matter what country you come from, no matter what your culture is, no matter what your gender identity is, no matter what your sexual orientation is, we're all human beings. We all have double helix. We all have the same number of chromosomes. I'm sure somebody biologist person out there is listening. Okay, so if my science is wrong, you can tweet me at The Queer Life to correct my science. And it's just so important for us to realize what it means to share ourselves in the public view. Whenever you go to somebody who is transgender and you ask them, have you had the surgery? Are you attracted to men or women? Are you what kind of medication are you taking? These are very personal questions. And a lot of people seem to forget that that it's not really appropriate to ask people what medications they have. It's not really appropriate to ask people what the state of their genitals are. And if you're probably listening to this show for the first time and you're hearing me use the word genitals and hearing me speaking about different body parts as in penises or vaginas, it's it's to highlight that human beings do have these certain body parts, and as always, I will speak about it within the context of a medical description, never in a crude way, because due to our puritanical backgrounds here in the United States, speaking about such body parts has become sort of taboo, as if it's bad mojo or bad social karma to speak of these body parts, when it's no different of speaking of, a finger on your hand, or your neck or your head. It's all a part of what makes us human being. Not if you don't have these certain body parts, it doesn't make you any less of a human being. It's just different parts of our own physical being as human beings. So that's my shtick on that. If you have any questions for us at any time during this episode, feel free to give us a call, 707-545-0318. That number again, 707-545-0318. And feel free to ask us any questions. If you have questions about yourself, as in terms of your own gender identity, if you have questions about your own sexual orientation, you need help sorting through that, we have resources on the queerlife.org. If you go to the queerlife.org and hit the Get Help button, we've got access on there. If nothing in there is really appealing to you, we've got a Contact Us button on there, and we can line you up with somebody who is really knowledgeable. And like I said in our disclaimer at the beginning, that we're not doctors, we're not lawyers. I'm connected to quite a few doctors and lawyers, and that's what this network is about. That's what the Queer Life is about. That's what KBBF is about, and we're just trying to disseminate good information out there so that we can have more positive news about LGBT in the world. I don't want you to turn on the radio and have the NPR effect. It's like, oh, great, more news. All right, so we're going to hear about bombing in some country, and we're going to hear about so-and-so being killed or so-and-so being raped. And yeah, I do have some of these news subjects on some of the Queer Life episodes. But as much as possible, I really do try to highlight some of the positive things that are happening out there in the world, pro-LGBT stuff. And I know a lot of you out there are probably being like, okay, well, why is this on KBBF? Why is this on the radio? Why is this all up in my face? Why are you trying to preach to me your lifestyles? And the reason is it's not to rub it in your face. Really, we kind of just want to live our lives. It's not to parade around or share a crazy lifestyle. We're not trying to convert anybody. I'm not trying to make your children gay or transgender, who would want to be a part of a segregated minority group that is discriminated against on a daily basis. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants their child to be discriminated against. No person chooses to be discriminated against. We're simply out as queer identified people because it's who we are. It's no different than any kinds of identity, expression, and being. And I know a lot of you out there shaking your heads and be like, well, not in my house, or not in my church, or not in my school, or not in my child's school. But if you think about it, is it really hurting your child to be going to class alongside of another child who is gay? Is it really hurting your child if a little transgender girl is using the same bathroom as your daughter? When kids are kids, there's not much that really separates them physically. Boys and girls, up until the 1400s, the word girl literally meant child. And to distinguish between male and female, they had knave girl, and I forget what the other term was, but I'll be getting into that in a little bit here. But children are children, and people are like, well, what if a boy ends up, or a biological boy, a transgender girl, a child who was assigned male at birth, wants to get onto a girls' softball team? Oh, well, that child will clearly have an advantage because men are stronger. Are little boys really, truly that much stronger than little girls? If you want to weigh on this, feel free to give us a call, 707-545-0318. The number again, 707-545-0318. We'd love to hear what you have to say on that. And I know a lot of you out there going, well, men are actually stronger than women. Women are actually more blah, 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 blah. Stereotypes. My question to you is, I'm not trying to make you look stupid. I'm not trying to attack you. I'm just trying to give you a little bit of information based upon science and based upon sociology, biology, sociology, science, governments, laws. Everything I share on here is well researched, and it is with great consideration that I share these things with you. But a lot of you are wondering, well, why should I let a transgender child on a certain baseball team? And really, when a kid's baseball team loses, who's the most angry? The parents. When the child's soccer game lets out, all the kids, they've just been running around and playing around. They're playing a game. It's a game. Let the kids have fun. Let the kids enjoy themselves. And it's like, oh, well, it gets really competitive, and our kids, blah, 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 going to states. Yeah, but they're kids. And I know some of you out there might want your kid to become the next baseball star or soccer star or what have you, but does it really hurt your child if there's a transgender kid on the same baseball team? So these are some of the questions that we've been exploring, and there's other states that have been exploring this as well. In the state of California, we passed a law that allows transgender identified children to go to the bathroom according to the gender identity that they choose. And this has been pretty big. And in a recent episode, I talked about the statistics for abuse of that right, that privilege that we as transgender people now have, transgender children now have in schools, K through 12, kindergarten through 12th grade. And the statistics are the number of recorded harassments and attacks from transgender kids to anybody else in the bathroom is 0. The number of recorded adult attacks or abuse or assaults or rapes or whatever people are accusing us of in adult bathrooms is 0. There's no recorded statistical data to show that trans people are attacking anybody else in bathrooms. Well, the question is, what are we doing in those bathrooms? Well, I'll tell you. We're going to the bathroom. Pretty simple. That's something that all of us have to do. You go into the bathroom, you come out, wash your hands, hopefully, and you walk out. We're doing the same thing everybody else is doing. And honestly, as a trans person, as a trans woman, when I go into the bathroom, I go in, I wash my hands, and I leave. And sometimes people will even talk to me and be like, oh, they'll like my outfit, or they'll like my earrings or my makeup or whatever, and they'll say, but honestly, my basic mission in the bathroom is to go to the bathroom and leave. I don't even want to talk to anybody in the bathroom. I'm actually worried about somebody attacking me and saying, hey, you don't belong here. I know a lot of you out there are probably thinking, well, you don't belong there. You're actually a boy. You're actually just a gay boy. And I'd love to separate out the fact that transgender women and gay men are two different things, two different kinds of people. And you're wondering to yourself, well, how is that possible? Well, gender identity and sexual orientation are two very different trajectories. As you know, there are plenty of women who identify with being sexually attracted to other women. We call them lesbian. That's the label we have for them, is lesbians. Men who like other men are called gay men. Transgender women or transgender men identify with a different gender. And gender is separate from sexual orientation. I just want to like kind of have that resounding through your minds right now. I'm just going to I'm going to do a little inception in there for you. But I'll be getting into a little bit more about that later. If you are confused about any of the terms we're using here, feel free to tweet us at thequeerlife or go to thequeerlife.org and hit the contact button. Shoot us an email or give us a call, 707-545-0318. That number again, 707-545-0318. So I want to get into the news. Usually we have an interview. Most weeks, I'd say about 90% of each of our episodes are composed of interviews. But there's been a lot of stuff going on in the LGBT community and the trans community all over the world. And I felt the need to really get on and just share what the heck is going on with all y'all out there, because life's a trip and the world keeps on spinning. We keep going around that, hurling through space, going through this towards the sun, or no, not towards the sun, going around the sun. Yes, indeed, this is a heliocentric model. That means we do surround a sun. The sun does not surround us. Again, science. Anyway, I just want to go through some of these current events. Again, all the links, all the articles, all these subjects that I'll be talking about for this evening are on the Queer Life website, thequeerlife.org. This is episode 38. What if you could see every transgender person naked? And this episode will be made available online on that episode, on that website. So you can just click on it there and you can just watch the episode. Yes, I said watch, because we stream via videos, because the NSA is watching you. No, I'm just kidding. I actually have a webcam streaming feed inside KBBF studios. So pretty incredible stuff. Technology, like I said. Anywho, Jeffco board member apologizes for sharing link to hate group on Facebook. This is written by Nicholas Garcia on co.chalkbeat.org. Have another article here about trans women plus sex equals awesome, about the idea of cisgender straight men having sex with transgender women. What does that mean? What does that mean for a straight man to have sex with a transgender woman? Does that make him gay? Does that make him straight? Does that make him bisexual? These are all questions I'm sure a lot of people out there have had, and we'll be exploring that a little bit here. Joe Morgan from gaystarnews.com writes, the 50 weirdest and coolest facts from LGBTI history. Really, really rad article came across that just has some just interesting historical facts. I consider myself a history buff and random information buff, so I'm very pleased to be sharing that with you as well. Some transgender news, which is pretty heavy this week, is from Mitch Kellaway on advocate.com. After years of hiding in Hollywood, trans actress Lysette is finally living out loud. Meredith Talusan on advocate.com. Op-ed, Leelah Alcorn ciswashed by the media White House. Our view, transgender bathroom bill endangers students. More on trans people in the bathroom. And some views there. Darren Wee from gaystarnews.com. Brazil trans woman stripped, shaved, and disfigured in police beating. Thai Transgender Commercial. What's your take? I share a commercial on there about a trans woman using a men's restroom. And she's quote unquote what we call passable. The idea that a trans woman looks like a cisgender woman. And what I mean by cisgender woman is, if you are cisgender, it means you identify with the gender that you were assigned at birth. As in layman's terms and less scientifically and grammatically correct terms, you identify with your biological gender. David Edwards from rawstory.com reports Fox pundit belittles transgender kids. It's like thinking you are a Cocker Spaniel. More on that after the half-hour break. Steve Visser, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, federal judge in Georgia denies more protection to transgender inmates. Trans woman who is in a prison high security prison being discriminated against and not being given the medical needs that she requires as anybody else. James Queeley from LATimes.com reports transgender teen can wear makeup in South Carolina DMV photo. Last on the list here is Kate Snow and from NBCnews.com reports Congressman Mike Honda's transgender granddaughter makes him proud. We'll also be sharing a couple videos about some of these items here as well. Some news segments that I found to be really beautiful about trans youth and what it means to be coming out and what it means to have a transgender child. I know a lot of you out there are like wondering, well, what if my kid turned out to be gay? What if my kid turned out to be transgender? What would you do? That's the question. And I hear a lot of people saying, well, I wouldn't want my kid to be transgender. But like I said before, we don't exactly have a choice as to who our kid turns out to be. We don't have a choice what kind of energy level our kid's going to be, how social they're going to be, how much they're going to be able to fit in with the other kids, no matter what. If they're going to be nerdy, if they're going to be athletic, if they're going to be intelligent, if they're going to be, be born with a learning disability of some sort, whether they're going to require some kind of medication, whether they're going to be depressed. As parents, you want your child to be healthy. You want your child to be happy, and you want your child to be accepted in a world that's going to accept them so long as they're living in harmony with everybody else. And again, everybody has different opinions on what harmony is. Is being gay a disruption to your harmony? Some people believe that. A lot of people believe that, actually. But that's quickly becoming a minority thought. Does your child being gay really affect you as a parent? Well, of course it does. Your child's different. It's going to affect you. And these are just some of the subjects that we like to approach on the show here because there are a lot of children coming out as gay or coming out as transgender. You don't have to worry. The biological majority are going to be quote unquote straight and quote unquote producing more children. Over 380,000 babies are born every day, more than people are dying every day. So the human race will indeed go on. But some of us will be born gay. Some of us will be born transgender. And all of us will want to be accepted. All of us will want to be loved. All of us will want to be a useful part of our community. Well, I mean, depends if you want to be a part of the community. You don't have to be straight or gay or transgender for that to be the case. Everybody's different. Everybody's unique. No two straight people are the same. No two cisgender people are the same. No two gay people are the same. No two lesbians are the same. No two trans people are the same. We're all different. We're all human beings. Why is that so hard? Why is that so difficult to understand? And yet, this is stuff that's going through the House of Representatives. This is stuff that's going through Congress. Come on, people. Let's move forward. Let's focus on technology. Let's focus on advancing humanity. Let's focus on the idea of just moving forward. This is all peanuts when it comes down to it, when we join the Federation of Intergalactic Races. No, I'm just kidding. That's in the future. Anyway, I got ahead of myself. All right, so we're going to go for a quick break and a word from our sponsors. You've been listening to the Queer Life Radio Show. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Thanks for listening.
KBBF 89.1 FM, conquistando tu corazón.
ACLU de Sonoma County, la Unión Americana de Libertades Civiles, presentará su máximo honor el domingo 3 de mayo a los activistas Big Man Howard, Carol Hyams y Sandy Espino Valenciano en un almuerzo en el Hotel Flamingo de Santa Rosa. John Burris, abogado conocido por defender las víctimas de abusos de la policía, dará el discurso principal. Para información, llame al 707-575-9648, repitiendo 707-575-9648, o visite al sitio web aclusonoma.org.
El ahogamiento es la causa principal de muerte accidental entre niños pequeños. El tomar simples medidas de seguridad es la mejor manera de prevenir tragedias. Asegúrese que los niños aprendan a nadar. Designe un adulto vigilante del agua que cuide a los niños cuando estén en y alrededor del agua. Deje las llamadas telefónicas y los mensajes de texto para cuando los niños no estén en el agua. Cerque adecuadamente todas las piscinas con cercas de por lo menos 4 pies de alto y con puertas de cierre y pestillo automático. Cuando las piscinas elevadas no estén en uso, retire las escaleras. Cuando las piscinas portátiles no estén en uso, cúbralas. Enseña a los niños a mantenerse alejados de desagües. Si hay un niño extraviado, búsquelo primero en la piscina o spa. Considere las medidas que toma, luego agregue unas más, porque nunca se sabe cuál es la medida que salvará una vida hasta que la salva. Pasos simples salvan vidas. Visite poolsafely.gov para más información.
Un mensaje de la red hispana y esta estación.
Estás escuchando KBBF 89.1 FM, Radio Cultura, Calistoga, Santa Rosa.
All right. Hello, everybody. You have been listening to the Queer Life Radio Show, LGBT news, modern perspectives, roundtable discussions, and interviews. I am your host, Kaiya Kramer, and this is episode 38. What if you could see every transgender person naked? And I explained what that means at the beginning of the show. And again, just to reemphasize, it's about being vulnerable. It's about sharing little bits and pieces of ourselves to let you know about who we are. Whenever you ask us questions about our genitals, whenever you ask us questions about whether we're getting surgery, whether we're on certain kinds of medications, whether who we are sexually attracted to. And the answer to that, none of your business. Like, really, it really is none of your business. And you're wondering yourself, well, why are you coming on the radio and telling us about this? Well, it's part of my job to come out here and get on the radio and to disseminate information, to share knowledge, to do a little public education out here. I'm not saying this to be cocky or arrogant or to put you down or anything, but think about it the next time you walk up to a transgender person and be like, are you a man or a woman? Really? Is that appropriate to ask people? And I know a lot of you out there are like, well, what if my children see them? Well, I've already gone over this quite a bit. And so I just want to share with you some more stories from around the world. And the first article I want to get underway with here is Jeffco board member apologizes for sharing link to hate group on Facebook. This is by Nicholas Garcia on Chalkbeat, Colorado. Jefferson County School Board member Julie Williams said late Friday that she was sincerely sorry and that she would remove a link on her personal Facebook page that she shared that encouraged families to keep their students home Friday and away from perverse indoctrination of the, quote, homosexual, bisexual, transsexual agenda. Quote, to be honest with you, I didn't read the article, Williams said. Quote, I just saw it and thought I was sharing information with parents. The link, like most on Williams' wall, was posted without comment. It directs Facebook users to a newsletter published by SaveCalifornia.com, but neither overtly endorses nor condemns the group and its message. Friday is the National, quote, Day of Silence. That was last Friday. It is organized by GLSEN, an organization that supports lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender students and teachers in schools. The aim of the protest is to raise awareness about LGBT bullying. Students who participate in the protest attend school but remain silent. Some put tape over their mouths. SaveCalifornia.com describes itself as a, quote, frontline pro-family leader standing strong for morals for the common good. But the Southern Poverty Law Center considers the organization a hate group, akin to the white supremacy political party American Freedom Party and Westboro Baptist Church. Williams said she was not familiar with the group and that she was rattled after learning it was recognized as a hate group. The newsletter reads, in part, the Day of Silence postures every person who identifies as a homosexual or cross-dresser as a victim of ongoing, unrelenting harassment and discrimination, being silenced. While some incidents like this do occur, this event is an overwhelming exaggeration in an effort to manipulate our kids' natural sympathies. The result, ironically, is that youth develop favorable views about a controversial, high-risk behavior. Williams said she does not support the statements in the newsletter and read to her by a Chalkboard reporter. Quote, I believe in choice. Who you are and what and wants to be and what you want to do, Williams said, distancing herself from the newsletter that paints LGBT students as unnatural. Last fall, Williams gained national notice for suggesting the school district review an advanced high school history course. She wanted to make sure the course was patriotic. Her proposal incited weeks' worth of student protests. And this goes on and on and on. But it's the idea of organizations like SaveCalifornia.com or people who post to public school boards on Facebook about the idea that Transgender Day of Silence, honoring all the trans people that have lost their lives one way or another, either through murder or suicide or discrimination or rape. These are real things. These are real, and it's all happening every single day. And a lot of them go underreported as well. And the fact that all we ask for is a day of silence, and we're not forcing anybody to do it. Students who participate remain silent throughout the day, sometimes wearing tape over their mouth. It's raising awareness. And this is about bullying. I think everybody can agree that bullying is bad, no matter what. If your kid comes home bruised and beat up by another kid, if you're a mama or you're a dad, you're going to be upset. And even if your kid is gay, even if your kid's just effeminate, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with your kid being effeminate? What's wrong with your little boy, quote unquote, liking dolls? What's wrong with your little girl wanting to, play with the boys? What's wrong with these things? In our society, we're domesticated to believe that these things are wrong. The culturalization of masculinity and femininity is so strong that any woman who cuts her hair short is considered a lesbian or wants to be a man. I argue that why can't we just be whatever we want? Why can't we just express ourselves in whatever way we want, so long as it doesn't hurt anybody else? And that's what the majority of people want to do, is we just want to be ourselves. We want to express ourselves. What if a guy wants to wear skinny jeans? Does that make him gay? A lot of you guys out there are like, heck yeah, it does. No, it's just he has different fashion sense. It just means he likes skinny jeans. Doesn't mean anything else. Doesn't imply anything else. Yeah, are there correlations between certain kinds of dress? If you see somebody who is mostly presenting in female clothes, you can probably safely assume that they're going to prefer female pronouns, but not always the case. There are genderqueer people. Genderqueer is incredible. People who reject the gender binary, the idea that men have to be a certain way, that women have to be a certain way. Just be who you are. Just be a human being. If you want to wear a dress one day, that's fine. If you want to wear pants one day, that's fine. We're humans, you know. So I'm just trying to share some perspectives with you. I'm trying to open up your minds a little bit to some of the stuff that's going on in our world. And I think this is a good moment for me to pull away and share something about a young 5-year-old transgender boy named Jacob. It's a beautiful story, and the parents share their perspective on what it's like to have a child, a 5-year-old, come out as transgender. And I'm going to share some perspective on that after we play it. So here it is. I really hope you enjoy it. It is a small piece from NBC News. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
You look really handsome. Are you ready for today? Are you ready for school?
Yeah.
Okay. Jacob is your typical energetic little boy who loves to run around, loves to play in the dirt, loves to get his hands into things.
Just like the funnest kid and a great buddy to have around. He was also born in a girl's body.
Jacob is transgender.
The doctor said that we had a girl.
Yeah, clearly a girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we started thinking of girl names.
Mia was born in 2010.
Go to Tata.
Good job!
Mia really wanted to change her clothes a lot, right? Constantly, like 12 times a day.
But then the doggy sweater came, and she became obsessed about wearing this one garment for 6 months straight, over the ballet tutu, over the Christmas clothes. In hindsight, I think what she was trying to do was dispel a sense of discomfort in her, the way her image was being shown to the world.
She would take on boy personas and always want to play with boy things, and we thought, well, it seems like we have a tomboy on our hands, right? She didn't fit in with the boys, and she didn't fit in with the girls, and it was obvious to her and the other kids.
I think she felt that, and so she would truth from people and wouldn't look people in the face when they talked to her.
Like that, okay? So you look beautiful right now. You look awesome. What do you think, Mia?
I want someone to cut my hair, and I want it to be like that.
Her need to play boy roles and her need to be seen or spoken to as a boy at home became very persistent and very consistent. Those are the hallmarks of a possibly transgender child: consistence, persistence, and insistence. And she was meeting all those markers. I was confused and concerned, and I hoped that this obsession with being a boy would go away. I remember crying because I imagined her being in the playground and nobody playing with her. Imagine her going through high school, not having a date. A mother's heart knows when her child is suffering. He was talking about hating his body. I even found him kind of poking at himself at some point, angrily, wanting to be something different, saying things like, why did God make me this way? Why did God make me wrong? A child shouldn't have to live like that. I was driving up the street and a car was going really fast and it made it, but we had to slow down really rapidly. And I said to myself, if this was the moment where I lost her, what would I have wanted to have done? Would I have wanted to force her to be Mia for that one last day? Or would I want her to have gone happy being who she really was? And I think at that point, my mind was made up. It was April of last year. We hadn't yet transitioned Jacob, but he had short hair and he was wearing almost entirely boy clothes. We had a glorious trip. We bought him a Prince Charming costume, and he would be stopped everywhere. Oh, how handsome. Oh, your son, he's so cute. And he just glowed.
And the look of pride on his face was like he had a ball, and it was a light bulb or something clicked. You know, I think with us.
He was really happy in that moment. He was being perceived as he wanted to. There had been a video that had gone viral of a adorable little boy out in California, Ryland Whittington, and his parents had made a video of him explaining the process of their transitioning him, and clearly this boy is so happy now, so adorable, so full of life and animation, and we were very struck by that, and we talked about it, and we said, what if we showed him this video of this boy? When the video finished, we asked him, what do you think about that boy? I said, do you think you might like to be like that? Do you think you might like to have a new name and everyone knows that you're a boy? And he said, I can't. I have to be me at school. I can be what I want at home, but I have to be me at school.
I explained to him that, look, we can bring you to a new school and everyone will know you as a boy from the beginning. Right then he said, that's what I want.
He said, I want to be a boy always. I want to be a boy named Jacob. Before the transition, he didn't smile a lot. I had never seen him throw his head back and laugh, like really loudly.
He's just a different person who's becoming himself.
He started looking people in the eye. He started talking about people. That's my friend.
Striking up conversations.
Yeah. And I realized how much he had come out of his shell and how much being Jacob suited him. And I realized he had never really been Mia. That had been a figment of my imagination.
I couldn't ask for a better son. He's amazing.
I want him to know how proud I am of him, how brave I believe he is, and how no matter what, I am in his corner. And I love him, and I always will, because he's my son.
All right, everybody, I really hope that you enjoyed that little NBC news segment about little 5-year-old transgender Jacob. And I share these stories with you because there's so much sad stuff going out there. There's all this really nasty anti-LGBT this and all that going on, and it kind of gets a little tiring to report on all the deaths, rapes, murders, suicides, and all the anti-LGBT legislation that's going on right now. And it's pretty intense. And what I find about this is that these parents here, they are so open to the idea of having a child be different and have that be okay. have their child be different and have it be okay, and not force them to be anything that they're not wanting to be in a way that's not harmful. A lot of you are saying, well, I've read the comments to these, and the comments gets pretty nasty. And it's saying stuff like these parents are forcing their kid to be a different way. No, this child is clearly saying, I want to be a boy. I want to be Prince Charming. I don't want to be the princess. I don't want to be, running around in dresses. I want to be a boy. I want to have short hair. That's what this little transgender boy is saying. 5 years old. He knows what's up. And these parents know too. Is it hard for the parents? Of course it is. Yeah, it is hard because they're worried what's going to happen to their child. Any parent is going to worry about that, and they're not trying to impose a lifestyle upon this child. And a lot of you are saying, well, 5 years old is too young to get a gender surgery, well, and that's a comment that I actually read, several comments that I read in many of these kinds of articles, and they're not forcing any surgeries on this 5-year-old kid. Of course, that's ridiculous. 5 years old, forcing him to have a surgery. No, they're not going to do that. They're like, oh, well, they're forcing medicine on this kid. No, they're not. They're just letting this little kid present himself in the way that he wants to present himself. What's the big deal? If you have any questions or comments, feel free to give us a call, 707-545-0318. That number again, 707-545-0318. Or you can tweet us at The Queer Life. We love getting your responses. And I know a lot of you out there are probably shaking your heads and being like, well, no, this crazy person on the radio, KBBF's really going down the tubes here. Well, this is the future. This is not everybody is going to turn out to be gay. Like I was saying, not everybody's going to turn out transgender. The human race will go on. You don't have to worry. People are still going to be making babies. Kind of accidentally happens a lot of times. It's like, oh wait, oops. There we go. So, and we're not giving birth to gay babies. I mean, well, I can't. I take hormones that inhibit my ability to produce a certain key element. But it's a tough shtick, and I've got DJ Broken Record here. He's hanging out in the studio this evening, and DJ Broken Record runs the Broken Record radio show every Monday nights from 9 to 11 p.m. and every Tuesday afternoon from 3 to 5 p.m. Is that right? Yeah, he's nodding his head. And they get into more political intrigue, more race activism, and more poor people activism, just to kind of put it simply in layman's terms. And so if you need some of that, it's every Monday night from 9 to 11 and every Tuesday afternoon from 3 to 5 and every Wednesday from 9 to 11 on KWTF. Tuesday from 9 to 11 on KWTF, excuse me.
Wednesday's a different show.
Yeah. Oh, Wednesday is a different show. Okay. So, okay. Anyway. So if you enjoy that show and The Queer Life, again, please support KBBF. Go to kbbf-fm.org and hit the donate button. Buy one less latte to support programming such as this and more, so that we may continue to provide public radio to you. As you know, KBBF is a volunteer-run organization, and we do our best to try to provide high-quality content to all of our listeners out there. So we're really, really excited to just continue to provide radio programming to you. And it's not easy. It's a lot of work. None of us are paid. None of us are rolling over here in our our fancy cars. I don't know what kinds of fancy cars are out there. I don't know, like a like a Mustang or something. I don't know. I don't really know cars. If you know what a fancy car is, you can tweet us at the Queer Life. It's a hashtag learn cars, hashtag Shaka Bra. But anyway, we really try. We're going to be presenting more LGBT news, mostly trans news, because there's been a lot of trans stuff. After the hour here, I want to share with you next article on the list, the 50 weirdest and coolest facts from LGBTI history. Pretty neat stuff. From Mitch Kellaway on advocate.com, after years of hiding in Hollywood, trans actress Trace Lysette is finally living out loud. Meredith Talusan from advocate.com shares op-ed Leelah Alcorn, ciswashed by the media, White House. Another transgender bathroom article, our review, transgender bathroom bill endangers students. From gaystarnews.com, Darren Wee writes, Brazil trans woman stripped, shaved, and disfigured in police beating. David Edwards on rawstory.com writes, Fox pundit belittles transgender kids. It's like thinking you are a Cocker Spaniel, because that's totally the same thing. On the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, Steve Visser writes, federal judge in Georgia denies more protection to the transgender inmate. Also, health benefits and also certain medically necessary medications. LATimes.com, James Quealy writes, transgender teen can wear makeup in South Carolina DMV photo. That's pretty big. Being able to wear the clothes and identify with the certain way that you look for your ID. So that if you get pulled over, people won't wonder, who are you, if you're wearing makeup and stuff. Because, oh my gosh, somebody might want to wear makeup every day. Somebody who identifies as female might want to wear makeup every day. If somebody who identifies as male wants to wear makeup every day, that's fine too. You know, what's the big deal, y'all? Why can't we just all just get along? I guess I'm too much of a Sonoma County hippie for any of that to make sense. From NBCnews.com, Kate Snow writes, Congressman Mike Honda's transgender granddaughter makes him proud. I've got a little video clip there of the congressman, Mike Honda, sharing about his granddaughter. I know some of you out there are probably grandparents. And if you have grandchildren, what are you going to want to do? You're going to want to talk about them. You're going to want to share pictures about them. Here, take a look at pictures of my granddaughter. You know, it's a natural thing because children are beautiful. And why would you feel ashamed if your grandchild was transgender? So more on that after the break here. And again, you've been listening to the Queer Life Radio Show, LGBT news, modern perspectives, roundtable discussions, and interviews. I am your host, Kaiya Kramer, and this is episode 38. What if you could see every transgender person naked? More on that after the break. And again, thank you so much for listening. We'll be right back.
Estás escuchando KBBF 89.1 FM Calistoga, San Francisco, North Carolina.
There are many good reasons for people of Sonoma County to come together in solidarity on International Workers' Day, Friday, May 1st. Gather in Roseland at 4 p.m. by the Dollar Tree on Sebastopol Road. March to Courthouse Square for a brief rally. The march will continue back to Roseland for festivities with music and speakers. There will be food and drinks available. Bring your signs with demands for living wage, social justice on both sides of the border, affordable housing, end homelessness, immigrant rights, police accountability, stop racism, no fast-track trade policies that hurt working families, human rights for all.
Get up, stand up. Stand up for your right. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight.
We served our country like those before us.
The camaraderie is what kept me going. You know, it was a dangerous area. All of Vietnam was dangerous.
I didn't know what to expect when I got back.
For the first 10 years after I got out, no one would have known that I was in the service.
I got home, got married 2 weeks later, got a job.
We came back, built lives, families, and communities, but we still had challenges.
The carnage of war left an indelible mark on me.
I would have intrusive thoughts, horrible nightmares.
Services and support that can help are available for veterans.
I went to the VA, talked to my doctor.
I started doing groups. I started doing one-on-one counseling.
We found ways to move past these challenges for ourselves and for our families. At MakeTheConnection.net, you can hear our stories and find tools and services available to you.
The more I talk to people, family, friends, other vets, the better I feel.
Caminando, caminando.
KBBF 89.1, contigo, ayer, hoy y siempre.
All right. Hello, everybody. You are listening to the Queer Life Radio Show, LGBT news, modern perspectives, roundtable discussions, and interviews. I am your host, Kaiya Kramer, and this is episode 38. What if you could see every transgender person naked? And that's an idea and an exploration of vulnerability and sharing parts of ourselves in our lives, and how it's kind of absurd to ask people about whether or not they're getting surgery, even no matter how curious you might be, or whether or not somebody's on hormones or certain kinds of medications, or who they like to have sex with. These are questions that I'm sure you're curious about, but unless you're close to them, that's probably an inappropriate question to ask. So if you're trying to undress us with your very provocative questions about personal parts of our lives, then reconsider some of your questions and reconsider some of the social niceties. And this is not about political correctness. This is just about being polite. Come on. This is so hard just to let people be the way that they want to be. Why can't we just all get along, man? So I'm going off here a little bit. Anyway, next article on the list here, really cool one. The 50 weirdest and coolest facts from LGBTI history. Did you know churches blessed gay marriages in the Dark Ages? Discover more. Written by Joe Morgan on gaystarnews.com. The world's oldest porn, which dates back over 3,000 years, features both male and male, female and female, and male and female couples. 3,000 years. LGBT, homosexuality, Men with men, women with women. Second fact on the list here. The oldest ever known chat lineup was apparently said between two men. A mythological story from the 20th dynasty of ancient Egypt is between Horus and Set, who quarreled for 80 years on who should rule. Set attempted to persuade Horus to sleep with him, saying, "How lovely are your buttocks, and how muscular your thighs." Then they have sex. This is in Egypt. And I know a lot of you are saying, "Oh, well, that's heathen nonsense, blah, 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 blah." But, you know, this is just LGBT facts from history. Some interesting stuff. If you have any questions or comments for us on the Queer Life Show, you can give us a call, 707-545-0318. The number again, 707-545-0318. We're going to be discussing more LGBT news as we go along here. Number 3, in Egypt, 2 male royal manicurists named Yan Kukunum and Kunum Hotep were found buried together in a shared tomb, similar to the way married couples were often buried. Their epigraph reads, "Joined in life and joined in death." Having lived in 2400 BC, they are believed to be history's oldest recorded gay couple. Incredible. 2400 BC! It's over 4,000 years ago, y'all. Open history book. We've been around for a while. Number 4, some historical gay and bi figures have turned their lovers into gods. Alexander the Great wanted to make his boyhood lover Hephaestion a god when he died. Alexander the Great, great conqueror, had a boyhood lover, Hephaestion, and he wanted to make him a god. But he was only allowed to declare him a divine hero. The Roman Emperor Hadrian of wall-building fame was successful in making his lover, Antinous, a god after he drowned in the Nile. Emperors, conquerors, heroes, scholars, many of whom were gay in history. We've been around for a while. This is not a new idea. Number 5, the church sanctified gay marriages in the so-called Dark Ages, with one being the Byzantine Emperor Basil the First, 867 to 886, and his partner John. An emperor, a Byzantine emperor. That's post-Romans, the Dark Ages. The church, the Catholic Church, sanctified gay marriages, even an emperor. Something to consider, you know, marking our modern times. Things are changing. Things were different. Thoughts change, cultures change, different beliefs change in terms of how and what is accepted. Number 6, in a creation myth by Aristophanes, there were 3 sexes. Those with 2 male heads, which were descended from the sun. Those with 2 female heads from the earth, and those with a male and female head descended from the moon. Displeased with them, Zeus crippled them by chopping them in half. Since that day, according to the story, we're looking for the other half to create our whole. This is known as the origin of love. For anybody who has seen Hedwig and the Angry Inch, there's a song based on that, and pretty interesting. Well done film. Number 7, Mercury represents male and female principles in harmony. In mythology, Mercury fathered Hermaphroditus, who had both male and female sex organs, which gives us from the Roman hermaphrodite, which is said to have male and female sex organs. Although that the term hermaphrodite for human beings is not considered correct anymore to use. The correct term to use is intersex. And we actually had a previous episode with Scott Parkhurst speaking as an intersex man. Check out that episode on thequeerlife.org. Number 8, ancient Greeks didn't believe in heterosexual and homosexual. However, they did believe in passive and active. The most common form of same-sex relationships were when an older male, the Erastes, acted as a mentor and a lover to a younger boy, the Eromenos. They believed sperm was the source of knowledge and was able to be passed on. These are the Greeks, mind you, and this is old news. Number 9, there was a band of 150 gay couples from Thebes who defeated a Spartan army and went undefeated for 30 years. For any of you who have seen 300, Those were Spartans. They stopped Gerard Butler. No, no, that was Xerxes. But anyway. Number 10, in ancient China, homosexuality was referred to as the, quote, the cut sleeve and pleasures of the bitten peach. Number 11, until the late 1400s, the word girl just meant a child of either sex. If you had to differentiate between them, male children were referred to as knave girls, and females were gay girls. This is old terminology here until the late 1400s in English. 12. The word drag is apparently an acronym, a stage direction coined by Shakespeare and his contemporaries, meaning dressed resembling a girl. Number 13, the Virginia court in 1629 recorded the first gender ambiguity among the American colonists. A servant named Thomasine Hall, was officially declared by the governor to be both a man and a woman. To stop everyone else from being confused, Hall was ordered to wear articles of each sex's clothing every day. Mind you, that's 1629. That's thinking of the time. I think we've reached a different point hundreds of years later. Number 14, in early 17th century London, there was a gay brothel on the site where Buckingham Palace is today. Buckingham Palace in 17th century London. Prior to that, a gay brothel on the site. I know there must have been other stuff there. It's this kind of cheeky little joke there. Number 15, Nicholas Biddle, an early explorer of America, found in 1806 that among Minnetarees, Native American tribe, if a boy shows any symptom of effeminacy or girlish inclinations, he is put among the girls, dressed in their way, brought up with them, and sometimes married to men. In native cultures, they have a term for that's called two spirits, having the spirits of a boy and a girl at the same time. And it was highly respected and honored in native societies. Very interesting. Number 16, Uganda had a gay king, King Mwanga II, who reigned from 1884 to 1888, is widely reported to have had affairs with his male servants. Ugandan king. In Uganda, it's actually illegal to be LGBT, and you will be sentenced to death. Things have moved away a little bit from that point. Number 17, in the 19th century, the word gay referred to a woman who was a prostitute, and a gay man was a man who slept with a lot of women. In the 19th century, gay referred to a woman who was a prostitute, and a gay man was a man who slept with a lot of women. How our words have changed. Number 18, homosexual men in 1900s London made up an entire slang language so they could communicate in public without fear of being arrested. Polari. Some words survived into today's slang, such as naff, meaning lacking style, TBH, standing for to be honest or to be had, and TJUZ, meaning to primp or improve. Number 19, Carmilla, a story of a lesbian vampire that preyed on young women, was written 25 years before Dracula. Number 20, the U.S. has apparently already had a gay president, James Buchanan. He shacked up for 10 years with the future VP, William Rufus King, and was referred to by President Andrew Jackson as Miss Nancy and Aunt Fancy. James Buchanan, gay president. We've already had that. Pretty interesting. 21, the modern use of gay comes from gay cat, a slang term among hobos, meaning a boy who accompanies an older, more experienced tramp, with the implication of sexual favors being exchanged for protection. Number 22, while the monocle might have gone out of use, it had a huge following in the stylish lesbian circles of the early 20th century. 23, the first celebrity coming out as openly gay was Billy Haynes, who came out in 1933. Number 24, the oldest surviving LGBT organization in the world is Netherlands Center for Culture and Leisure, which was founded in 1946 and used a cover name to mask its taboo purpose. Number 25, gay male victims of the Holocaust who wore the downward-facing pink triangle were still considered to be criminals when they were freed from concentration camps. They were often sent back to prison to serve out their terms. That one kind of hits me hard because I'm a transsexual woman and I come from a Jewish family. People like me would be sent to concentration camps. That scares me very intensely. And I know that's in the past, but there's a lot of people who still believe that we deserve to be in concentration camps. There's a lot of people who think that Jews should still be in concentration camps. Anyway. 26. Mensa, launched in 1946, claims its name was chosen to mean table in Latin to demonstrate the coming together of equals. Really? It was intended to be called Mens, meaning mind. They changed it in order to avoid confusion with the men-only magazine. Not so smart. I'm going to read some more of these a little bit in a moment here, but I want to share another story with you about a congressman and his granddaughter. This is Growing Up Transgender, Melissa's story from NBC Nightly News. And again, if you're just listening now, you've been listening to the Queer Life Radio Show, LGBT news, modern perspectives, roundtable discussions, and interviews. I am your host, Kaiya Kramer, and I'm going to be playing for you another little segment. If you have any more questions for us, feel free to give us a call, 707-545-0318. That number again, 707-545-0318. All right, check out this next little piece here.
We're back now with more on our special series on transgender kids. Last night, we introduced you to 5-year-old Jacob and his family. The response has been overwhelming. We've heard from so many of you on social media. Tonight, we meet a child a little bit older than Jacob, 8-year-old Melissa. Her story first received national attention because of a message from her grandfather. Our national correspondent, Kate Snow, continues her reporting.
Where's this one?
Yeah, you got it.
8-year-old Melissa Phillips and her grandpa spend a lot of time together.
Okay.
Just like this.
She and her brothers call him Ji-chan, Japanese for grandfather. Back in February, he posted a photo of the two of them on Twitter.
As a proud grandpa of a transgender grandchild, I hope she can feel safe at school without fear of being bullied. What's that?
The tweet got a lot of attention because Mike Honda isn't just a grandfather, he's a United States congressman.
You have a very public job, member of Congress, and you can choose to keep some things private. Why did you decide to make this public?
I think that there's a time when you have to determine when there's a good teaching moment, and I think that was one of them.
Melissa's story begins with an ultrasound. That's when Michelle and Travis were told they were having a boy. But as soon as she could, Melissa made clear she believed something else, that she was a girl.
She wanted the princess gowns and the princess heels and the tiaras and the wands. She had them all.
But as years went by, they realized it was much more than dress up. It was how she saw herself.
What did you feel like on the inside?
Like I was a girl, not a boy.
Her self-portraits have always been with long hair, and as a princess, you know, she's always wearing a dress in her self-portraits.
You want to be supportive of your child and let them do what they want, explore, express themselves. But at the same time, you're thinking, okay, what are other people going to think?
Then one Halloween, a family friend gave her a wig to go with her costume. She was 6.
She put it on and saw her reflection in the sliding glass and then in the TV, and she just sat up straighter and she started kind of posing and realizing, this matches. And that's kind of when I feel like she switched over.
When you looked in the mirror, what did you see?
I saw the person who I really was.
Last summer, on her 8th birthday, they made the transition. With the support of her teachers and school, they sent an email to family and friends saying,
It's Melissa now. You need to address her as Melissa and use the right pronouns and so on.
And while 8 may sound young, when they see the difference in their daughter, Michelle and Travis wish they'd helped Melissa transition sooner.
It hurts to think that she lived so long as someone that she didn't feel she was inside.
I didn't understand at first, then they started to understand and let me be who I was.
Like all kids who transition at a young age, Melissa hasn't had any medical intervention, no hormones or surgery. But as an 8-year-old, decisions are coming, like whether or not to use hormone blockers to prevent puberty.
Have you thought through whether you'll do anything with her hormones when she's approaching puberty?
We're definitely not going to jump the gun and rush into things.
We have a pediatric endocrinologist, we have a therapist, her primary care physician, so we have people who are assessing her, looking at where she's at physically and then helping us make decisions.
Is this scary stuff as parents?
I think it's all scary, being a parent, period, right?
Melissa's parents say what they want now is the same thing any parent wants for their kids.
All three of our children, we hope for the same thing, and we hope that their futures all are the same, you know, happy, healthy, confident people. It has nothing to do with gender.
The family says they've learned a lot through this experience, and Grandpa, Congressman Honda, says it has influenced the way he sees issues on Capitol Hill. He says he believes this nation is at a tipping point when it comes to the way transgender people are treated. Lester.
This has been a fascinating series, and to witness the conversation that it's created has been so.
NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube.
Hey, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that short clip from NBC News about Congressman Mike Honda's grandchild, transgender grandchild, Melissa, 8 years old. And I do want to reemphasize again that these parents have not forced different medications on their child. They have not forced any different lifestyle on this child. They have not forced surgeries on a child. They're not like allowing having a little kid undergo surgery or putting different drugs into them or anything. They're just simply allowing their child to express themselves in the way that they need to express themselves. Is that so much to ask? And I know a lot of you out there are going to be just shaking your heads and be like, no, little kids, it's like, well, little kids will be whatever way they want to be. Or if you let kids do what they want, they're just going to go off and be whatever they want. I don't buy that argument. As a trans woman, I knew as a small child that I wanted to be a girl. I knew very, very early on that I needed to be a girl. I want to share another article with you from David Edwards on rawstory.com. Fox pundit belittles transgender kids. It's like thinking you are a Cocker Spaniel. Fox News contributor Tammy Bruce argued this week that a school lesson about tolerance had been wrong because transgender made as much sense to children as thinking they were a Cocker Spaniel. During a Trouble with Schools segment on Wednesday's edition of Fox and Friends, host Elizabeth Hasselbeck suggested that officials at Mitchell Primary School in Maine read children a story about a transgender girl as a plan or an indoctrination on the part of the school to get to kids first. Quote, this is about conditioning and not just of the children, but of the parents as well, Bruce agreed. The implication here is that if you're left to your own devices as a parent, something will go wrong. They have to intervene. That, of course, has got to be rejected. Bruce, who is a lesbian, said that the message to parents was that they would be called a bigot or a homophobe if they complained. Hazing expert Dr. Susan Lipkins also disagreed with the school's decision to read the book to all of the students, but observed that it could be used as a tool in specific situations. I don't think that the kids need to know this or should be knowing this, she told Hasselbeck, is completely confusing to them. As a feminist and also as a victim activist, I think that it is insane to say that somebody has a boy's body and a girl's brain. What's a girl's brain? Quote, if they need to use an individual with one child who may be dealing with that at the age of 8 or older, perhaps, Lipkins continued, but between 5 and 8 and a group, the only people who should maybe be exposed to this are adults, are the staff, and perhaps the parents, but absolutely not the children. Bruce added that teaching kids about transgender people was about the projection of our issues as adults onto children. Quote, look, at a point when I was a child, I thought I was a Cocker Spaniel, she quipped. There's a point when we have these fantasies when we think we're Superman, or we can fly, or we're the cat. This is childhood, and this is why this is particularly troubling. I want to dive into that a little bit here. It's comparing transgender kids, the identity of being trans, to thinking you're a dog. Thinking you're a dog would be a mental illness because it's denying the fact that we're human beings. And a lot of you are out there are saying, and a lot of the critics out there are saying, these people included, are that if you think you're a girl and you're actually a biological boy, there's something wrong with you. That it means that it's just a phase. Well, I actually have a big poster on the Facebook page that says, this is not a phase. Being transgender follows you your entire lifetime. And no amount of therapy, no amount of conversion, no amount of religion, no amount of brainwashing will pull that out of somebody who is trans identified. Transgender kids are trans because that's how they were born. Most trans people I have talked to have known at a very, very young age, or have always known that they were trans. How do you explain to a small child that doesn't want to play with Barbie dolls and the child wants to be Prince Charming? What do you say to them? Oh no, girls don't do that. Here, put on this dress. But I don't want to. Now you're imposing the gender binary on these children. Now you're telling your kid you have to be this way, instead of letting them go into the toy box, and grabbing whatever toy they want or whatever costume they want. Why can't a little girl choose to be Spider-Man for Halloween? Why can't a little boy decide to be Elsa for Halloween? What's wrong with that? If you have questions for us, give us a call at 707-545-0318. And we'd love to discuss that more with you. If you have any questions, you can also tweet us at The Queer Life, or go to thequeerlife.org and hit the contact link. We really do love to hear all of your responses. And I know this is a lot of new stuff. And I'm not trying to browbeat you. I'm not trying to impose different lifestyles. I'm just trying to let you know, hey, we exist. We're alive. We want to live. We want to be happy. We want to be a part of society. What's wrong with that? I'm trying to challenge your thinking here a little bit. Being a little kid and being transgender is not the same as thinking we're Superman or the neighborhood cat, or, oh, I wanted to be a Cocker Spaniel when I was a kid. It's kind of belittling the experience. But these are some of the thoughts that people have out there. And this is why we continue to have to do this work. And this needs to be taught to children. People need to hear this, because there's nothing wrong with teaching this. Because it's just talking about other kinds of human beings that actually exist, that live in our world, that just want to breathe and live and get jobs and be happy, be functioning parts of society. Is that so hard? I know I'm coming off as a little serious here, but it's just so heartbreaking to hear all the feedback from people saying, no, this shouldn't be taught to our children as well. And it should only be taught to adults. Why? It's not forcing children to be a certain way. It's just letting know that certain types of people exist. Most trans people who have transitioned later in life have said to me, I wish I knew about this when I was younger. I wish the times were different enough so that it could be safe for me to come out when I was younger. Why can't we help kids now? Why can't we do a little bit of education? Please, I implore you, educate yourselves. Listen to this show. Not because I want more listeners, but it's because we need to change the world that we live in. Anyway, you've been listening to the Queer Life Radio Show, LGBT news, modern perspectives, roundtable discussions, and interviews. I am your host, Kaiya Kramer, and this is episode 38 of the Queer Life Radio Show. What if you could see every transgender person naked? About being vulnerable and sharing pieces of our lives with you. Anyway, thanks so much for listening. We'll be back after a short word from our sponsors. Thanks so much.
KBBF Radio Colectiva, gente de la calle, tejiendo voces para una voz, la voz de nuestra comunidad.
Not driving anymore? If you have a member of the family that isn't driving anymore, have them donate their vehicle to KBBF. We'll arrange for free pickup even if they don't live in the Bay Area. We can arrange for pickup anywhere in the country. Donating is easy. Just call 877-411-3662 and our friendly staff will make all of the arrangements. Call 877-411-3662 or donate online at kbbffm.org.
Ayude a proteger las reservas de agua que en California han llegado a niveles alarmantemente bajos a causa de la sequía extrema que ya afecta a más del 80% del estado. No desperdicie el agua al regar su jardín. No lave su automóvil ni el piso o aceras de su casa con mangueras sin boquilla de control. No deje que el agua vaya a dar a la calle. Con ello evitará recibir multas de hasta $500 que la Junta Estatal de Recursos Hídricos ha autorizado para quienes desperdicien agua. Mensaje de la Universidad de California.
Si eres como yo, escucha KBBF 89.1 FM, la voz de tu comunidad, porque es divertida.
All right, hello everybody. You are listening to the Queer Life Radio Show, LGBT news, modern perspectives, rounds, and interviews. I am your host, Kaiya Kramer, and this is episode 38 of the Queer Life Radio Show. What if you could see every transgender person naked? It's about vulnerability and honesty and sharing little pieces of ourselves. And it's a metaphor of being naked. It's not actually seeing transgender people naked. Sorry to disappoint some of you out there, but it's about not asking inappropriate questions. Check out this episode and more on thequeerlife.org. The Queer Life is on YouTube, youtube.com/thequeerliferadio. Follow us on Twitter @thequeerlife, facebook.com/thequeerlife. And we are on iTunes. Go to thequeerlife.org and just click any episode and we'll have a link to every single episode. A link to the iTunes for you to subscribe as well, and on Stitcher. Thank you, Maddie Love from Trans Atheist Podcast, for putting that together. Trans Atheist Podcast is a podcast on thequeerlife.org, and we frequently share bits and pieces of her great stuff coming out of Minnesota. Trying to bridge all that. We're going to be having this podcast from the Queer Life family, reporting from Spain and sharing some of her lesbian adventures out there. So I'm really looking forward to sharing some of her stuff. She's really great, really professional sounding, and it's just, I'm excited. Some good stuff. More from transgender news world out here. I do occasionally share what I consider to be controversial articles. And again, you can tweet us at The Queer Life if you have any responses or questions, or you have a different opinion, or you can call us 707-545-0318 if you're listening to the live show. It's from gaystarnews.com by Darren Wee. Writes, Brazil trans woman stripped, shaved, and disfigured in police beating. Model was attacked again in hospital. A Brazilian transgender woman was stripped and had her head shaved and face disfigured in a brutal police beating. Veronica Belina was arrested on Sunday, the 12th of April, for assaulting an elderly woman in her apartment building in Sao Paulo and put in a male prison. For reasons not yet clear, the model got into a fight with a police officer during a cell transfer and bit off half his ear. Disturbing pictures circulating on Brazilian social media show her with cuffs on her hands and feet, head shaved, breasts exposed, and his face disfigured from the battering she received from several officers. One blogger noted that nearly every news outlet that covered the incident misgendered her and focused on her biting off the cop's ear with no mention of police brutality. Audio was later released of Belina denying being tortured by the cops and claiming she needed to be restrained. A female voice belonging to Heloisa Alves, coordinator of policies for sexual diversity for Sao Paulo State, can be heard prompting her in the backgrounds. Alessandro Melchior, a coordinator of LGBTI policies in the city of Sao Paulo, has since said that Belina told him that she was attacked more than once, even in hospital while receiving treatment for the injuries she received from police. The incident has caused outrage among Brazilian LGBTI activists and supporters who accuse the officers of transphobia. Many are showing their support for Belina online using the hashtag Somos Todos Veronica, or We Are All Veronica. Brazil is the most dangerous place on earth to be transgender. Last year, 113 trans people were murdered in the country, half of all reported trans murders in the world. Half of the transgender murders in the world being reported come from Brazil. These women are out there living in pretty harsh environments, and it's not safe for them. Many murdered, as stated here, and many raped and many abused. I'm not trying to condone Veronica's actions for biting a police officer's ear or getting in the fight with the elderly woman in her apartment in Sao Paulo, but if you see pictures of her, this is a woman. And seeing pictures of her face beaten and swollen and bruised, and her head shaved, her long, beautiful hair, and her breasts exposed because they just see her as a man. Her breasts exposed. It's really hard to see this. It breaks my heart, actually. Nobody should be treated like that by our authority figures. Did she commit a crime? Potentially. Assaulting an elderly woman, that's a bad thing, right? Should she have bitten off a police officer's ear? Probably not. But should she have been treated this way? No. This is a society of laws, and we live in a society that has protections, and she might be mentally ill and she might be a result of abuse. I'm not excusing her actions. I'm really not. Again, I'm sharing controversial points here, but seeing these pictures of her, it's pretty horrific. And so I'm just sharing a perspective here. I'm just sharing a story. I will let you make your decision on what is right and what is wrong. That's not up for me. I'm not a moral adjudicator here. Anyway, next on the list here, I have an article from AJC.com. Federal judge in Georgia denies more protection to transgender inmates. A federal judge ruled against ordering more protection for a transgender Georgia prisoner, but told prison officials that the court is watching the prisoner's treatment, the inmate's lawyer said Tuesday. Ashley Diamond, 37, has sued prison officials for failing to protect her against sexual assault and, at least initially, denying her the hormone treatments she had received for 17 years to develop female characteristics before imprisonment for burglary and theft. In retaliation, she contends officials moved her to Georgia State Prison in Reedsville, a maximum security facility with more dangerous inmates. On Monday, U.S. District Judge Mark Treadwell rebuffed Diamond's request to be moved to a safer prison or to be or to order prison officials to take any more specific steps to ensure Diamond's protection. The judge did not address the merits of the lawsuit, said David Daniele, deputy legal director for the Southern Poverty Law Center, which is representing Diamond. Prison officials outlined for the judge measures implemented to better protect Diamond, such as adding an additional guard to Diamond's cell block, providing escorts to the dining hall upon request, moving one harassing inmate, and moving Diamond to a cell nearer a security camera, Daniele said. The judge concluded that based on the record before him that he believed the DOC response was sufficient. He did not say the conditions were good, Daniele said. The department is under close scrutiny, and we intend to hold them to that. We previously reported on this article of this Georgia inmate, this trans woman imprisoned with men at a high security prison, highly dangerous inmates. She's reported to being raped 6 times during her imprisonment. Yeah, she committed a crime, burglary and theft. Does that mean that she deserves to be imprisoned with men and raped on a continual basis? No. We have laws to protect people. You don't just throw somebody in prison and, have at them, let the, release the dogs, release the hounds. We live in a society of laws. And yes, this person broke a law. Should they be punished for it? Yes, they are being punished for it. They're going to jail. They're going to prison. They're paying for their crimes, but rape is not part of the prison sentence. Being denied your medications is not part of the prison sentence. And yeah, it's like, well, okay, well, the idea is it so bad to deny hormone treatment to trans women? This trans woman started using hormones when she was 17. And when they forced her to get off of the hormones, when they didn't provide hormones, which are medically necessary for our health, she started growing more male features. Her voice got deeper. Her facial hair spread. Her musculature increased. Her boy puberty continued. That is torture beyond belief, especially when a trans woman has had the opportunity to start hormones as early as 17, which is early for a lot of people. Pretty powerful stuff here. Moving on now to next article on the list here from Los Angeles Times, LATimes.com. Transgender teen can wear makeup in South Carolina DMV photo. Chase Culpepper, a South Carolina teenager, says she wears makeup and women's clothing regularly, but the State Department of Motor Vehicles forced her to take the makeup off for a driver's license photo, prompting a federal lawsuit, Transgender Legal Defense and Education Fund, by James Quealy. As part of the legal settlement announced Wednesday, South Carolina's Department of Motor Vehicles will allow a transgender teenager to wear makeup and women's clothing for her driver's license photo, rather than requiring her to dress like a boy. Chase Culpepper, 17, contended in a federal lawsuit that DMV officials had violated her constitutional rights last year by refusing to allow her to have her photo taken as she usually appears. Under the terms of the settlement, the DMV will revise its policy on photo credentials and train its employees in treating transgender and gender nonconforming individuals according to court records. I am thrilled with the outcome of my lawsuit, Chase said in a statement. My clothing and makeup reflect who I am. From day one, all I wanted was to get a driver's license that looks like me. Now I will be able to do that. It was hurtful to be singled out for being transgender and made to feel that somehow I wasn't good enough. Ethan Rice, a staff attorney with a New York-based Transgender Legal Defense and Education Fund, which represented Chase, said, people should be able to get a driver's license without being subjected to sex discrimination. The policy changes and training that the DMV will implement in response to Chase's lawsuit will help all transgender and gender nonconforming South Carolina residents in the future. A DMV spokeswoman declined to comment on the case. Texas. Chase, who previously identified as male but now identifies as female, was ordered to remove her makeup under a DMV policy that barred applicants from dressing in a way that might disguise their appearance. The new policy, which takes effect in May, will make clear that a person is not misrepresenting his or her identity, quote, when the applicant's makeup, clothing, or accessories do not match traditional expectations. As in traditional gender identity roles, the gender binary. Men are supposed to look a certain way. Women are supposed to look a certain way. It's like telling a young girl, no, you can't wear makeup in your DMV photo. It's the same thing, even when you say it to a trans girl, because that's the way she's presenting every day. Allow her to present the way for her photo, the way that she does in everyday life, because it's accurate. Chase will get a new driver's license photo dressed as a girl once the revised policy takes effect. The DMV also agrees to apologize to Chase and her mother as part of the settlement. One of Chase's representatives said there was no money involved in the settlement. Speaking on the steps of the South Carolina State House on Wednesday, Chase called the settlement a major victory for transgender rights. Quote, "My hope is that I made a difference for other people," she said. "I'm so glad I stood up for what is right." Michael Silverman, executive director of the Transgender Legal Defense and Education Fund, said he hoped the settlement would lead other agencies with similar policies to change them. Shortly after the details of Chase's case became public last year, Silverman said his agency received similar complaints from transgender men and women in other states. The advocacy group is negotiating with the West Virginia DMV after 3 transgender women there were ordered to remove wigs and fake eyelashes when having their driver's license photos taken. Silverman said agencies with similar policies should take a cue from the U.S. State Department, which requires only that photographs of passport applicants mirror their everyday appearance. Departments of motor vehicles and other government agencies cannot restrict the freedom of transgender people to look like their true selves, Silverman said. Pretty straightforward and clear. A clear victory for transgender teens in South Carolina getting their DMV photos taken. Little pieces, bit by bit. And I know a lot of people out there saying, hey, well, why do you keep complaining? Why do you keep fighting and trying to get news coverage? And why do you keep coming on the radio with all this stuff? Well, clearly the need for these changes to happen are present. And if the DMV told me that as a trans woman, that I couldn't go and get my picture taken, that I had to cut my hair, or that I couldn't wear makeup. Mind you, I don't wear makeup every day. Not all girls wear makeup every day. Or that I had to wear boy clothes or look more like a boy. Does that make sense to you? Is it okay to tell people to change the way they look every single day so that it more closely confines itself to your worldview, to the way that you see things and how they should be? No. There's different forms of gender identity, different forms of gender expression, different forms of sexual orientations, different forms of expression in terms of the way we dress, whether you're straight, gay, transgender, lesbian, intersex, bisexual, queer, questioning, asexual. We all have different forms of expression. And that's what I'm trying to convey to everybody here. As long as it's harmless, why stop it? It's hard. It's hard to deal with. And we live in a place where, fortunately, it is safe. I feel very fortunate to be living in Sonoma County, where I can go out and I can hold my boyfriend's hand, or I can hold my girlfriend's hand, and I can present as a woman, or I can present as a man, and it's fine. Nobody's going to come up and attack me. I mean, it does happen, but it's pretty darn safe. And I'm really certainly hoping that the rest of the country will catch up, that the rest of the world will catch up, that we live in a future where the children that I've been reporting on here, the trans kids, can grow up and it'll be fine for them to be transgender, that it'll be a point of pride, that they'll be special, that they'll be different. Don't you want to tell your child that your child's special and beautiful and wonderful, and that they can be anything they want? So so long as it doesn't hurt anybody else in society. I know I keep harping on this point, but it's something that's really near and dear and very, very close to my heart, because I just want equality. I want love. I want understanding. And I want us to feel like, we're living in a good world. And that's my message for tonight. You've been listening to the Queer Life Radio Show, LGBT news, modern perspectives, roundtable discussions, and interviews. I am your host, Kaiya Kramer. This is episode 38. What if you could see every transgender person naked? Check out more on thequeerlife.org and check us out. All right. I have enjoyed sharing a little bit more of the LGBTQIA community with you. Have a wonderful night. Thanks so much for listening.